All right, welcome to the Corpus Christi Songwriter Podcast. I'm Jules.
I'm Jimmy.
Hey, I'm Garrett.
and we have Michael O'Connor here with us. He has not said that he is Michael O'Connor yet, though.
That's right.
I am Michael O'Connor.
There.
I am the Michael O'Connor.
That's the best way to do it.
Amazing.
I'm going to leave that pregnant silence in there.
As you should.
So how have you been, Michael? Since
I've been great, man. How you guys doing?
Doing well.
I've been back here in Corpus Christi hanging out. It's been nice to be home for a little while.
I bet. Yeah, you just played a show at House of Rock a few days ago, and did you play anywhere else after that?
No, I just hung out, man. Well, actually, I did, man. I went and played just with some friends, man. Just went and played some music with some friends, like old-fashioned style.
Nice.
Playing music for fun. Imagine that, right?
Oh my
Right,
God.
Right.
I know. What a loser.
So yeah, I had the good fortune of opening for you at your House of Rock show, and
You sounded great, man.
I appreciate that. I wasn't fishing for a compliment, but I was truly humbled to be.
I'm sure you sounded good.
Thank you. But I was truly humbled to be opening the show for you, and all of your longtime fans seem to welcome me with open arms. So I appreciated that as well.
Yeah, it was a nice show, man. It turned out well. Casey does such a great job there. Just the way he even laid out the room where it felt nice, man. It was really cool.
Yeah, it was. We've been talking about Casey and House of Rock basically since episode
Every
one.
episode.
And
Yeah.
just singing his praises. So,
He's
Well,
awesome.
he's the premier venue in this town for sure, man.
oh, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, one of the main venues that still hosts shows like this, right? So
Yeah.
it's definitely needed, definitely welcome. So for the listener that might not know who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself. You're the hometown boy. What does that mean exactly?
Give us a
I grew
spiel.
up here in Corpus, man. I went to school here and grew up here. I started playing music in bars in Corpus in 1985.
Nice.
I was about 19 years old. It was right across the street from the surf club was a delicatessen that we played in. It used to be like the old window, like it would have been like for a clothing store or something, where they have the mannequins in the window. That was the stage for the venue, the Seabreeze Deli.
Nice.
That's where I started out. Man, I just played around here. My next gig I got was at Panjo's Pizza. Used to play
Nice.
at Panjo's every Thursday night. That
Heck yeah.
turned into some Friday and Saturdays, and just 1 week to a week to a month to a year. And this is my 39th year since I quit my job to play music. So
Wow.
Nice. That's awesome.
I had a band here called Silent Slim and the Locomotives. A lot of older folks might remember that band. And we played 200 or 300 gigs a year all around here, and kind of a swing band and a blues band, horn section, trombones, and there's a
Nice.
6-piece band.
Dude.
And I hosted the open mic at the surf club for 7 years or something like that. And somewhere in the 90s, I moved up to Wimberley and started playing music up in hill country.
It's a good place to be for sure. But I wanted to ask a little bit more about the surf club, the Executive Surf Club open mic. When did you start that, and how did that come about?
I think we might have been like the first act to play at the surf club. Silent Slim might have been the first band to play there. I think.
Nice.
My ghetto will tell me it's him, man. But I think it was us. I think we were the first ones to play that. That open mic, man. I started that. I mean, I guess I was doing it in '91, I guess. So the surf club seems like it must have just been opening around that time. But then we usually backed everyone up too, rather than just get people up and down. We kind of would back them up. So played with everyone, made a lot of friends there doing that, and got a lot of other gigs backing people up. People that would come out to the open mic, and play. And when I run into people nowadays, someone will tell me, like Jimmy might have told me, or someone would say, I used to come to your open mic at the surf club. And the first thing I say, was I nice to you? Or was I mean to you? Because running the open mic, man, I don't know if y'all have ever done it, but it can be trying on your patience and stuff.
You got to be ruthless. You got to be like, let's in and out. That's how Ray is. Ray told me, he's like, come on.
He does a great job, man.
Dude.
Yeah, Ray does a great job.
Yeah,
If
he's
you
got it
go
down to
over it, you'll
science.
hear it.
Mhm.
And it's in his head.
Well, and I used to tell people like, hey, you played those 2 songs for 3 weeks in a row. Don't come back till you learn some new songs,
Yes.
But that's good for people,
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Hell yeah.
we have a similar rule where it's non-enforced since COVID, but we have a similar rule with in the rounds at CC Songwriters. So
Yeah.
which was
Right.
good. We need to bring that rule back.
I like the
Yeah, if you're just
asking
playing a
of the.
few songs, then you should be rotating it out for the
Yeah.
audience. You know?
Yeah. I always
Yeah.
like asking, are you playing anything new for us? Or are we playing anything new that we haven't heard? Or, yeah, I always like that to keep that in there. So they're always thinking.
You know, and once upon a time, the Surf Club was booking Towns Van Zandt and Robert O'Keefe and Guy Clark. And
I know.
so I opened a lot of shows there because I had a half hour or so of originals, you know, and I could mix it in with other stuff and get away doing openers there. So I got to open for a lot of different people. There, Billy Joe Shaver, we opened the Guy Clark show.
Nice.
Yeah, there's a long list of them. Rock and roll bands, all kinds of stuff. It seems like things might have changed there a little bit. I stuck my head in there the other night, and the open mic was not as I remembered it. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Right. It's also kind of an off night. I believe that Batman Martinez was actually running the show that night that you jumped in. But no, the open mic as of late has been like this weird ebb and flow. It has its ups and downs for sure.
Yeah.
Well, they do. That's how it was when I ran it too. For sure, man.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I wanted to know what led you to pick up the guitar in the first place, and when did you write your first song?
Oh man, let's not talk about those first ones, dude. Yeah, I still remember the first one. I can still play it. Isn't that weird, man?
Oh.
Man, I can't.
Well, I wanted to play guitar bad, man, and play music from the time I was a little kid. I remember pretending that I was going to saloons with my banjo and playing as I was 4 or 5 years old. I don't know why, but I just wanted to, like kids were playing cowboys and Indians. I was playing musician, it was weird. I really wanted to. And I had a tennis racket that I would act like it was a guitar, and for years. And then probably when I was about 12, I got an acoustic guitar. And man, I'd convinced myself I could play it already. So I really took to it pretty naturally.
Nice.
I still had to work at playing the guitar. Don't get me wrong, but I was good at it really quickly, which if I wasn't, I probably wouldn't have stuck with it, because I wasn't that kind of kid. I didn't have a lot of gumption that way. But with music, man, I was ate up with it. So I got my guitar when I was about 12. And there used to be this music store here called the Horn Shop. And I took guitar lessons there from Alan Spence. And dig this, man. The first thing Alan taught me the very first day was a C chord. This is just for musicians right here, but I think it's cool. He taught me a C chord. Then he taught me the C major scale in that chord. And then taught me how to play Wildwood Flower using that chord and the scale that I just learned. So there he showed me in 1 half-hour lesson, there's chords, there's scales, and there's melodies that go in those chords and scales. I mean, I just thought it was a brilliant.
Dude, that's awesome.
Looking back, man, that was a smart lesson. And then I took lessons from Sid Sanchez, who's another Corpus guy who's up in Austin now. And Sid was like a rock and roll or blues guitar player. All the kids wanted to take lessons from Sid. So I studied with him. And then at Del Mar, I took Chester Roop. I don't know if y'all know who Chester Roop is.
Yeah, I remember Chester. I met him a couple times.
Man.
Yeah, man.
So I studied with him for a little while. And Mike Guetta, I played in a lot of bands with Mike Guetta and Dave Crawford and these other guys. And I really learned a lot just on the bandstand, kind of it hurts looking back at it, man. Because but they believed in me and they knew I had some potential, but they would also bust your chops right on stage, man, and play songs that you might not know how to play and you have to keep up. But all that really informed me and shaped me and helped me be the player I am now, man, for sure. Corpus was really good because you could play. One year I did 348 gigs in 1 year in this town,
Good Lord.
So that's a lot of gigs. That's a lot of hours with your guitar in your hand. So I think that's what it really takes for us to get better and challenge ourselves is to play a lot. And man, we played a lot down here, no doubt about it.
Nice.
Wow, that's amazing.
Dude, that is awesome. Was it music-wise influences at the time, like when you first started playing and singing? Mike, what were you into? Like what got you
I was
going?
into the blues. I was ate up with the blues, man.
Yeah.
I traded some records when I was in high school. It was a Judas Priest record and some other record, Nazareth or something. I traded with this other kid, and for some reason he had Leonard Skinner, pronounced Leonard Skinner, and Johnny Winter live and
Ooh, nice.
man, that's the best trade I ever made. So then all through high school, I was ate up with like Southern rock and blues, and Johnny Winter led me to Muddy Waters, to Howlin' Wolf, to all the blues stuff. So when I first started playing around here, that's what we were doing. We're doing blues and R&B and dance music, party music kind of stuff, man. And then I did that for years, and I would also just sideman with people, playing whatever style they would play. One, might have a tuxedo on at the country club one night, and then you might have overalls and be playing at the rattlesnake races the next day, playing bluegrass. And I would lie, man. I would lie if I'd say it now, but people, hey, can you do this? Yeah, I can do that.
Sure. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Then bust your ass for a week trying to figure out how to do it,
Yeah.
But I forget my point. We played a lot of different styles down here.
And you were in the grind for a long time, but do you remember what your first big gig was?
There was a thing one time, they had the Miller, they had the biggest party in history. It was in 1987.
Oh, wow.
And they had Dallas, Houston, and Corpus Christi, giant rock concert. Silent Slim got to play on that. We became a Miller band for just a minute, a little endorsement thing where they would send you out to play these festivals and stuff. And that biggest party in history at the time, because we're playing the Holiday Inn at the beach, man, and we're playing the surf club, and we got on that festival, and this is in the 80s, guys, so it is what it is. But it was exciting, man, because we're on the bill with Huey Lewis and the News and Cheap Trick and
nice.
Just these rock and roll bands, and we're kind of backstage and checking it out. So that's probably the first really big kind of gig that we played around here. And then as a sideman, I played blues and R&B down here with all these kind of bands and different stuff. And then at some point, the blues just ate my brain. I still love the blues, but it just ate my brain, man. And I needed to do something else. So I started kind of getting into backing up people that wrote their own music. And that encouraged me to start trying to write music. And so my first really great gig out of that kind of situation was when I left Corpus. I moved to Wimberley, and I got a gig with Ray Wylie Hubbard, and I toured with him for about 2 years. And he produced my first record. So my pay went up. The length of the gigs went down. We were traveling, not just playing the same town over and over. So that was kind of a good break for me. And then what happened after I played with Ray, then you start getting calls from a lot of different people to play guitar. People that ignored you the week before, but you've kind of been christened by Ray that you can play, and then okay, you're kind of in the club or whatever, So
right.
Is that when you met Plank?
That is when I met Plank.
I thought so. Yeah.
Yeah,
nice.
We picked Plank up at the airport, and we went to play a trucker convention. And on the way to the gig, Ray's like, "You guys know any trucker tunes?" Like, yeah, we know some trucker tunes. And then later that night, we went to Waco and filmed this television show. And me and Jeff always laugh about it because, these ladies said, "You guys ready for some makeup?" And me and Jeff were like, "No, we're good." And then they kind of looked at us and shook their heads like, "No, you better let us put some makeup on you, man." So one of the first things me and Plank did together was to have our makeup put on. And
yes.
Then we're filming this show, and Jeff will tell you this story too. They'd left the door open in the back of the theater, and all these locusts, these cicadas had flown into the building.
Oh no!
And Ray, we both just started playing with Ray. No rehearsals with Ray Wylie, just play. I mean, that's kind of how me and Jeff bonded too, because that day, two sidemen filming a television show, unrehearsed, we could have stepped all over each other and really messed it up, pretty easily. But we didn't. We really watched each other, and he shimmied and I shook, and we played together.
Nice.
And ever since then, it's been that way with me and Jeff. We just hit it off that day. But Jeff will tell you, here he is playing one of his first gigs with Ray, filming a television show. And one of those locusts fly inside of his dobro, man.
Oh,
so as he's playing, there's a cicada there bouncing around inside of his guitar.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty funny, man.
That's awesome.
Did you have any questions, Jules?
Man, I'm just listening to all this and kind of, I've been curious as to the the background between you and Jeff, how y'all came to be a thing, and what the overall timeline was of like when you both got started with Ray.
That would have been around 2000.
Which that's wild. So that was like kind of concurrently, though. Y'all both came together with Ray at the same time, which is
right about the same time. I've been playing some Texas dates with Ray, and I think Ray uses different musicians around the country. So maybe Jeff had been playing with them in Nashville or something. Yeah. And then Jeff moved to Texas. And then me and him just started doing little duo gigs. And also for a while there, because had been this duo with Ray, then Susan Gibson would hire me and Jeff, or Shelley King would hire me and Jeff, or, different songwriters would kind of, we'd end up on the same gig a lot, because people dug the way we could play together, Yeah. We got a new record coming out by me and Jeff, by the way.
That's right.
Last year we put one out. We just go in the studio with Gabe and set up 4 microphones and just do it in a day, try to do it pretty raw and to keep costs down, because that's the way our budgets are for recording now. Right. And it's kind of fun just to make it like it sounds at the gig too, and let the songs kind of stand and leave the scratches and stuff. Anyway, we did that last year with the one called Nothing to Prove, and we've got a new one in the can, as they say, that we'll put out this March. That's going to be called New Sunlight. So these are 10 new songs that me and Jeff co-wrote together. We're excited about it. Yeah.
You can play any of those songs at the festival?
Oh, for sure, man. There's this one about a talking gun that I've been enjoying playing.
Nice. So when did you meet Adam Carroll, and how did that partnership start and grow?
Well, I'd heard of Adam, of course, when I first moved to Wimberley. He was on the radio, in the hill country quite a bit. And you hear those songs and you're like, who is this person?
Who's this guy? Yeah.
Yeah, just knocking me out. The one about Cole being in prison and Bubblegum or Bad Karma. And so he'd probably opened some shows for Ray or something like that. And they were doing this fundraiser for an animal shelter, and Adam was there playing, and Terry Hendricks and Lloyd Maines were there playing, and I was there playing. Lloyd called me up to sing harmony on one of these songs that Adam does. Walk through the graveyard of the rustic combine, that song, Yeah. Luckily, I could hear the part and sing it, man. Lloyd Maines puts you on the spot to come sing harmony. That could have gone any direction as far as I'm going, but I could sing that part. So that's where I met Adam. And then when I toured with Slade Cleaves, it sounds like I'm just dropping names like crazy, but I'm not trying to. When I was touring with Slade Cleaves, Adam would tour with us and be the opening act. Being the sideman for Slade, that means the opening act is going to be in my hotel room. We're going to share a room. So me and Adam shared some rooms and some stories and some bullshits. And I played him some of my songs. And one day I get a text from Adam saying, let's write a song about Billy Gibbons' beard. I said, all right. So we started working on this song, Billy Gibbons' beard. And which I one of my favorite lines is, I wound up on the bottle just like mom and dad had feared, with a bar tab twice as long as Billy Gibbons' beard. So,
good.
But so that rolled into us recording Hard Times together. That was in 2010. And that's still like one of my most popular. If you look at my streaming and stuff, that's the stuff that gets the most streams is that Hard Time record all these years later. Right. And so we wrote all those songs, kind of a concept record. If you really look and listen in there, Hard Times, there's a lot of the songs connect together lyrically and story-wise. And then besides the songs we wrote together, then I recorded one of Adam's songs called Highway Prayer on that record. And he recorded one of my songs called Sleepy Town on there, which is a heavy, heavy Corpus Christi song, actually. Sleepy Town talks about some people I knew.
Nice.
From Corpus, yeah.
That's awesome. That which is the fried chicken song? Mike,
that one's called Crescent City Angels.
Yes, yeah. I've heard you guys both do that one separately, and it's interesting to hear the way y'all both do it a little bit differently.
That's a good one, man. Yeah, Chris Carroll, Adam's wife, she wanted us to take that fried chicken line out, man. And
no, it's so good.
I protested hard and put my foot down. And there is a version out there without that line in it. Not that I'm singing, that Adam sang for a record. But then I noticed I put the chicken line back in, and then I noticed when he re-recorded it, they put the chicken line back in too. Yeah. No, that gets a little chuckle every night. So, and that's the first thing he kind of came with me with that chicken line, and I was like, oh man, yeah, that has to stay in the song, So.
Yeah, it's just a true thing that anybody can relate to. It's just like, oh yeah, I've had like that person that makes amazing whatever.
Yeah, I've
like,
had that fried chicken.
Yeah,
double
it's totally
all double entendres set aside.
yeah.
There's a boy out of Vincent Neil Emerson, man, has a hits. I don't call it a hit song. I don't know how much of a hit it is, but it's a hit at his shows. When I saw him, people remembered his song called "Fried Chicken and Evil Women."
Yes,
And,
that's a great title.
Yeah,
it's a good song.
It's good to throw a food reference in without getting too corny about it is always a good thing, I think.
The more food, the better, always. But your partnership with Adam Carroll over the years with Plank and a bunch of other people, you seem to have a good grasp on co-writing. I wanted to know your process with that.
Yeah, for sure.
Man, I really love to co-write. I think to co-write, you really have to trust the other person. You have to think they're smart and you have to think they're funny. If you don't think that about them, you probably shouldn't try to write with them. And you have to trust each other. Man, me and Adam can go really fast too. You know, like when we're writing a song, me and Jeff too, there's not a lot of pleasantries. We don't have to be polite with each other. We can just say, nope, just that trust and respect of each other makes it rapid without all the niceties and uncomfortableness. I think for me, we can not be so precious with our ideas, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So let the song kind of decide what it wants to be and be really open to it. If the other co-writer throws something way out of left field that wasn't your intent, go with it, man. Go with it and see what happens. You can always rewrite it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I enjoy the back and forth with co-writes. That said, I've co-written with some people that it came out with a good song, but it's not a song that I'm going to do, you know, didn't match up with me, but I kind of helped them get their song. I think just letting the song reveal what it wants to be. And even like me and Jeff and probably me and Adam too, I don't know. If we disagree on a lyric that I really believe it should be this lyric and they really believe it should be that lyric, well, guess what, man? You can do it that way and I'll do it this way. There's no hard, fast, just like the fried chicken line, you know. Yeah. They wanted to take it out. I said, no, it's staying in, you know, and now it's in with both of us. So me and Jeff have one that's on his new record, the new Plank record. He has some different lyrics. I have a whole verse that's different when I do it, you know, so that's okay. There's no big rules to it. Or change the tempo, do it as a ballad, do it as a rocker. The other person can change it, you know. But I've been writing with veterans all summer and all last year.
Oh, nice.
With this organization called Challenge America.
Nice.
Vince Gill and Amy Grant started this org, and now it works with the VA. I write with these veterans that have post-traumatic stress disorder. I only get a few hours with them, and we have, you know, the idea is to come up with a song with them and music therapy. I'm not fixing these guys. They have their struggles, but it does help them, and it does crack a little light onto it and give a distraction. And we know how good music heals us and is for us, so it's good for these guys. But through that, I feel like I could write a song with anybody now, man. Yeah. Because I think everyone has a story. It's the bus driver, the stripper, the preacher, whoever it is, anybody, which tells me, you know, writer's block is bullshit, man. If you sit down with the paper and start, I'm talking to myself too. I'm not judging everyone else. I'm talking to myself. It's like, man, just sit down and start doing the work. And it might not be great, but you'll be writing and you'll be doing something. And every person you meet has some story in there, man, you know, even if it's a moment or something. So, man, there's a million stories to be told. And so there's no shortage of inspiration, I don't think, for us, you know?
Right.
Yeah. Mike, do you like when you get an idea, or what do you do? What's your, do you kind of write on your own sometimes, or what's the process?
Yeah, you know, I have my iPhone full of my notes with all my one-liners and stuff.
That's what I was wondering.
Eavesdropped on people.
Yep.
And then my voice memos or guitar ideas and me mumbling and singing nonsense to a melody on my phone. And I go dig around through those. What's happened the last few songs I've written, especially co-writes I've done, I write poems sometimes. I write poetry because then I don't have to worry about rhyming. And I don't have to worry about the meter and syllables quite as much. Yeah. It's a little more free flowing, you know? Right. So I write poems. And then when I go to co-write with someone, I say, hey, man, read some of these poems I have, you know? Yeah. And they'll usually read my poems and we'll either write something directly out of that poem, or they'll see some lines like, ooh, I like this line. And we'll rob and pick off the the words from the poems. And that's just been a kind of a new thing for me. I've kind of always written poems and morning papers and stuff like that, just for myself. Really getting more serious about saving them and examining them and working on them. And then, I don't turn the poem into a song, but the inspiration of that poem or the intent or some of the line, it's just a place to start rather than just sitting at a table looking across the table at somebody. Sometimes I'll, if I'm writing a song with someone and we get stuck, I'll look up some Shakespeare and we'll just read a little bit of something. Nice. Or, I don't want to give away all my songwriting secrets. I'm just kidding. Do. Or, if I'm looking for a chorus, chorus has to be kind of a big thought, intent, has to mean something in a short phrase or something. So I'll look at what Buddha might say about forgiveness or what he might say about struggle or anything. I'll look those up and just read those kind of things and not lift it lyrically, but just read it and feel, look for that motivation in those other writings, man.
Yeah, that's great.
Nice. So I think I got a question at this point now because
all right,
because there's like I hear like a kind of,
and I'm not a Buddhist, by the way.
Right. Wouldn't I certainly don't want to question you about Buddhism, but I would say that like I feel like there's a you've mentioned that writer's block being bullshit because there's always like this other person, right? And you mentioned that sometimes you look to what Buddha might say. So I look at those things as
or Buddha or Bukowski or Bugs Bunny.
Sure, or Bugs Bunny. Yeah. So like
especially Bugs Bunny.
I listen to Ray's lyrics, and I know he draws from theology, right? And I know that he certainly like, when he draws from theology, it's meant to sort of impart something about the human condition. So when you tell me that you draw from Buddha, I think you're trying to do something to center some kind of the human condition in a big thought.
Oh, no doubt. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. And a simplified way to say it,
Yeah. I
have a song called Truth that the chorus to that is definitely lifted from some writings that I read of Buddha. It's just or Jesus or whoever, man. Like I say, man, I like Bukowski, I like Bugs Bunny. I take my inspiration from lots of wherever the truth is. That's what we're trying to get at. I think not to be self-important or nothing or whatever, but I think when you're writing songs, man, I think that's what people's trying to listen for is something they can relate to and something that's real, So
it should be honest to you, truthful to you anyway.
How much of a believer are you in, like, I've heard people say like you should say the thing that other people are afraid to say within lyrics?
I think that's kind of the songwriter's job sometimes, man, for sure.
I thought at times I was like, one should reserve the most beautiful melody for the most horrific thing one has to say.
Love that, right? We love something pretty telling us something horrible, no doubt. I think that
not to bring up, but like everyone gets their heart broken in Chicago. Like that's just it's such a vague but yet like powerful. Like it's almost like it's grim, but it's also like it's imparting something about the human condition as well, like the streets are mean sort of thing, man. So I don't know. I'm just picking up what you're putting down, brother.
Life will break your heart, man. So Chicago. My friend, I wrote that with my friend Ben Balmer. He's a killer performer, man.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah.
I met him up in Canada at a festival, and they had just played. Him and Josh Flowers had just played. I had to follow them. And they were killing it, and they were solo. So this is a thing I did learn from playing with Ray Wylie. When I got up there, I said, "Hey, why don't you guys just stay up here and play with me, man?" So we became fast friends that way.
Awesome.
So Ben had come. He came with that song. Everyone should get their heart broken. Chicago is the way he was singing it, and I was like, "No, just make it everyone gets their heart broken." Chicago, And then rather than just trying to write one story, I had the idea of just writing several instances where people,
like vignettes,
got their heart broken in Chicago.
Yeah. And then Bernardine, Saint Bernardine, does that tie into everything that we're talking about here? How did you come across that?
Yeah, man. That's like one of our most popular tunes that people always want to hear that song. And I always enjoy doing that song. I'm proud of that song. We were writing for Hard Times, me and Adam.
Yeah.
And he had that hit my about the winners and the losers in the light. We had that, that's kind of where we started at. And there was a shrimp boat down here when I was a kid on the T-heads there. There used to be full of shrimp boats down there on the L-head and T-head. And, most shrimp boats are painted white and blues and yellows and light colors. And, there was one shrimp boat down there painted completely black called the Widowmaker. And I was a little kid. I was 7 or 8 years old when that boat was down there. And that always stuck in my head, the Widowmaker. I thought, man, that's a badass name for a shrimp boat, And it's just whatever. It was mysterious to me as a kid, Like it has some intent there, So it's just crazy that all those years later, we're writing that song in Adams. I was like, man, let's make it about a shrimper, And then remembering, it just goes to show, everything influences you in your songs if you are open to it, But we had written those verses, man, and we wrote a lot of verses that didn't happen. That guy got robbed.
Oh, no.
He got robbed at one point. He had a prostitute situation that involved a trans person. He had,
man.
All kinds of things happened to that shrimper in that song. And we had all these different verses, but we didn't have a chorus. And man, we had played a gig up in Arkansas. I got at him and we were doing some little tours together that we were putting together through the South and stuff. But we had this one kind of date that we had started, but then the tour didn't come through. But rather than cancel the tour, it's like, hey man, I like to honor the date, So Adam, we're going to drive up to Arkansas and play this gig like we said we were going to do, and
nice,
and see what happens, man.
Yeah.
Well, we shouldn't have done that. It was horrible. There's nobody there. It's one of those gigs when you walk in, the staff and everyone's just like, "What are you guys doing here?"
No.
So horrible gig. I'm so pissed off, man, that I just drove. We drove from Lockhart to Arkansas, played the gig, and I was so pissed off. I just drove all the way back to Lockhart, man, from Arkansas. That's how mad I was. And dropped Adam off. And I was driving back to Brenham, Texas, where I was living, and the sun was out. And man, am I the worst you've seen? Bernadine just came into my head.
Yeah.
That 5-chord. And I just kept singing that chorus to myself all the way back to Brenham. And as soon as I got home, I called Adam and was like, man, I got the chorus. So I don't think had I hadn't beat myself down that hard, maybe I wouldn't have found that chorus, I might not have found it sitting on my couch. I needed to drive to Arkansas and play for 5 people and drive back again. And then
angrily drive back. Yeah.
I don't know if all that's true or not. But sometimes where you find them and how it comes to you is interesting. I think it's interesting.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, you take everything in life and it just like pours into your brain, percolates, and it'll come out eventually. It'll bubble out.
Well, and let me just say how lucky I am to have written a bunch of songs with Adam and continue to. And what a sweetheart, man. He took me to Amsterdam, my first tour over there in Amsterdam and Holland, and traded songs with me. And that's where we kind of met. And him wanting to write that Billy Gibb, where we really got to know each other and each other's songs. He finally, as a sideman, for years, people didn't really know about my songs because I was always backing up someone else. I was playing with Slade at the time. Adam took me to Amsterdam, and rather than just me back him up, we swapped, man. I backed him up. He backed me up on harmonica. So that was, somebody kind of took a chance with me like that. That was Adam. He really was interested in my songs, which was a big compliment coming from him. So I feel really lucky. I guess we've written about 25 or so songs together.
Wow.
If you don't count the Gary Floater songs. I don't know if y'all know about Gary Floater or not.
No. What? What is this?
This is a story?
Gary Floater is a artist that, you just have to look him up and check it out. I don't want to give it away, but I think y'all will enjoy his music. Right. You might recognize the voices and it's an artist that's you just have to check it out. Everyone go check out Gary Floater and listen to some of those songs. He's a country artist from Hollywood, Missouri, and He's a creation of several songwriters who just kind of put his music out into the world, And
yeah, it's a pseudonym of sorts.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
Go check it out.
Song titles are amazing. That's when the eagle screams.
Oh yeah.
Hello, diabetes. Stand back, boys. I'm fixing to care.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So if you
man.
don't count those songs, we've got and that's a bunch of different songwriters have contributed to the Gary Floater situation, I'll call it.
Amazing. I didn't know about this.
Yeah, I'm glad we're in the know now.
Michael, I had like a Jamie Harris related thing. She told me that you were a huge Selena fan. Is that
love Selena? Yeah. Growing up here, man.
We went to her museum, me and Jamie, and we talked about you most of the time because she was like, "Oh, he's got a Selena shirt." And, yeah,
I have a couple of Selena shirts, and growing up here, I remember seeing her on the Domingo Pena show.
Yeah,
and our friend Art Mesa was her percussionist. Our friend of ours, Don, he passed away. Rest in peace, Don. He was a background singer for her. And man, it was tragic when that happened. I'll never forget where I was. I was playing with Terry Hendricks on St. Mary Street. And Ruben V, I don't know if y'all know Ruben V. He's a hot shot guitar player, but he's a Corpus kid too. He came running next door, man, because the clubs we were playing were right next door to each other. And he's like, man, Selena got shot, and it was tough, man. At the time, our friend Ron Laccarini was working for the family, and what a tragedy, So, yeah, I dig it, man. I got to hear. I shouldn't tell that story. I got to hear some tracks that were work tracks. I won't say who had them. That weren't finished from the Talking Heads that they had sent for her to put her parts on. I don't know if y'all heard that song with her singing with David Byrne. Oh, yeah, so there's a track with she sings with David Byrne. I got to hear those tracks before she had her parts on there. It was just some acoustic guitars and a click track and David Byrne singing, and then now when I hear it on the radio, it's pretty cool. And I really loved when she covered the Pretenders, back on the Chain Gang.
Yeah,
I think they sang it back to the old ways or something like that. But no, nice. I dig that music, and that tragedy it's Corpus history, man, for sure.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, I remember where I was. I'm sure everybody.
It's kind of that way, right?
Remembers that.
Yeah. Yep.
Man, and she was beautiful. Wow.
I was surprised later on to learn how much like just charitable, awesome things that she did in her short time. Like she was awesome.
Well, and if you look at the artists that came after her, the J-Los and the Shakiras and all that stuff, man. I mean, I think Selena was really just fixing to be massive international star, man.
Yeah.
And speaking of Jamie Harris, I'm a big fan of that girl too, man. She's a badass.
She's amazing.
I just played her in-store with her last year. She had a record come out, and I played Waterloo with her, and then I just played at the 04 Center in Austin a few weeks back as a special guest. And she was the other special guest. So, yeah, she's a badass, man. She would come out to the gigs and know every word and get up and sing background vocals and just know every lyric to everybody's songs. And she's amazing.
Did that with Jana Pocop.
Yeah,
I can never say her last name. And
so like when they did their set with you, right? So
it was
Jamie
awesome.
just knows everyone's lyrics because she's ate up with music, and that's just so impressive,
Yeah.
It's pretty cool to watch her grow and come out of her shell and really become a badass music star, man. She's doing good things,
Hell yeah, we need to get her back to the festival.
For sure, before we can't get her anymore, right?
I know, that's what I was thinking. She was at Sorfa this year. Man, she brought Ordinary Elephant up to do a song with her and from Boomerang Town. It was awesome. Yeah,
I saw that they're on the festival this year. Ordinary Elephant.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, that's cool.
Yep.
They're nice folks, man.
Yeah, they're very sweet.
Yeah, you book all the cool folks, man. That's really cool about that festival is everyone's in the same town at the same time, That doesn't always happen. Everyone's at their own gigs. Right. And when we come play the Corpus Festival, then I'm hanging out like that. I'm hanging out with Adam and Plank and Jamie Harris and Jana all at the same time,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen. That's really cool.
That's one of my favorite things about that festival. It's not. I mean, we bring people in from Nashville and other places as well, but getting that circle of people that from Central Texas, Austin, Wimberley, wherever, just camping down here for a weekend. It's just, I don't know, it's cool.
It's awesome.
Yeah, dragging Walt Wilkins, you know, just getting a quiet moment and taking him to the U&I, you know, having some lunch over there. That's going to be a memory I'll always have. Of just
nice.
Us. I mean, it's fun to play gigs together and it's fun to do music and be at the shows. But sometimes, man, just to have a little bond with someone, you know, we're good friends, man. And that little moment where we had my hometown to be able to say, hey, let's go to this little cafe and, you know, shoot the shit, man. You know,
that's awesome.
Yeah. And last year you did a workshop at the festival, and
that was amazing.
It was an amazing workshop.
Dude, that was an eye-opening workshop, Mike. I loved it.
Man, thanks, guys. I really love talking about music. I worked in Denver at the Swallow Hills of Music School there, and I really enjoy talking about music. And a lot of this stuff with the veterans, if they are musicians or interested, it kind of turns into a little bit of that too. I like the spot in songwriting where inspiration meets craft. I like where we have inspired people with the tools to grab chords and melodies and parallel keys and relative majors, relative minors, to do things, to have those tools at your fingertips. I love Woody Guthrie. I love Three Chords and the Truth. I also love Brian Wilson and the Beatles and Sam Cooke and John Coltrane. And, you know, so I think, and not that I'm an expert at all, I'm not, but I love studying it and I love learning about music and music theory. And it's amazing that it's endless and how the science of it is, it's mind blowing. It's like studying DNA or something. It's incredible. So it's exciting for me to talk about, and I try to break it down in simple ways that a songwriter that maybe knows their chords, or if they're putting a capo on their guitar, they need to know what that's doing to when they do that. You know, I think to be a musician, you can't just, I mean, you can, I shouldn't say you can't do this. I have chosen, I enjoy where inspired meets knowledge, man. I think that's a cool place. You know?
Right. A friend of yours was at the show on Monday and she brought up the wheel, which she kept talking about the wheel. And I was like, I do not remember a wheel being in this thing.
I had no idea.
Your workshop. But it was a circle of fists that she was talking about.
Well, should I say, isn't that just kind of, I don't know, man, like recently, I think a chord wheel might be more useful than the circle of fists. Because like for your normal guitar player that wants to go about covers or something, like sharps and flats don't really mean anything, you know? But I've spent a number of years not knowing music theory, thinking I should be very knowledgeable about circle of fists, and was greatly relieved one day to realize it just had to do with sharps and flats. And I was like, okay, great. Cool.
Okay, I know how to do that.
That's one of the things it does. It does a lot of things, you know? It shows you where you can borrow chords, you know, that are closer to your slice of pie. It shows you 1-4-5, 1-6-2-5. It shows all those things. Yeah. And, you know, really for your basic songwriter, that 7-8 o'clock part of the wheel, they're not going to need that unless they're capo, and then they can know, you know. But it doesn't hurt to know. It's not going to hurt you, you know. It's just a tool. It's just you know, I didn't learn it. I didn't learn that stuff on the circle of fifths. I didn't know about the circle of fifths when I was coming up and playing. I learned that stuff by learning a million fucking songs and realizing, okay, these 50 songs have this 1-6-4-5 pattern or whatever. And, you know, when it feels this powerful thing, they're going to the 5 chord or whatever. Just from learn. I think that wheel can help people skip ahead when they're trying to write. Because you can sit there with your guitar and that wheel, the circle of fifths, and
the wheel,
and borrow chords and get creative, you know? Whereas we did it by learning songs and then taking those little patterns we learned and trying to write new songs, which is also a good thing to do. You know, all your songwriting heroes have stolen and borrowed from writers and music, and it's what you're supposed to do. That's the tradition, you know.
I learned a lot from playing with folks too, like playing in other bands and flying by the seat of my pants.
That's so good for you.
Do you remember Fred Jarmon by chance?
Man, Fred was a dear friend of mine. Yeah, we played a lot of gigs together. He was super talented. And I learned, you know, when I was talking about Mike Guetta and people like that, I learned a lot from Fred too, about harmonization and music. He was super smart and super talented and a super good friend of mine. Yeah.
Yeah, my dad hired him to teach me lead guitar within like 5 minutes. We realized that I didn't want to know lead at all. I just wanted to write songs. And so he's the one that taught me my first like lessons in music theory. And that's how I learned circles of fifths and all that kind of stuff. And,
Nice.
and we'd spend hours just listening to the radio and picking apart the chords and why they're doing that and how do they break the rules and all that kind of stuff.
He had big ears, man. How old were you when you met Fred?
I was probably 14, I believe.
Very cool.
Yeah.
He's a sweet man. He was a sweet man. So when they used to come to Cantina Santa Fe, and they had a band called the Vanguards.
Right.
And everyone's like, you have to come see the Vanguards, man. And the Vanguards had rockabilly haircuts with cool sunglasses and kimono robes. And then they would cover the stage in bones and candles and Mardi Gras beads and then play rock and roll songs, but on accordion, and they were the coolest thing that we had seen. They were all Corpus boys who had gone up to Austin and tripped out and came back and brought this voodoo funk thing, man, back to.
Yeah.
And the next week you'd see him, he'd be playing with somebody else doing something else,
Right. Yeah, I met him and Bobby Carter when they were doing Jarmon and Carter.
I played with Bobby so many years. We played all the little hotels, by the poolside. And when I kind of quit playing the blues, I had a band called Blues Farm that I played here for years with Rich Segura and Anton Perez and Franz Schliebert. I was kind of a loud rock and roll band.
Yep.
But when I quit that band, I just started bumming around, sidemanning with whoever, and Bobby threw me a bunch of gigs. We play these, call them casuals, swimming pool gigs or restaurant gigs or, not a cover charge or promoted or nothing, just for the venues or whatever. And we had a lot of fun, man. That's sad that we lost Bobby. He played so many gigs here in Corpus over the years, and always with a big smile on his face,
Yeah, my three mentors, I'd say, growing up were Fred Jarmon, Bobby Carter, and then, of course, Ray Summey over at Surf Club. Every week. But you brought up Cantina Santa Fe. I know you were in with JJ a little bit. And what's your history there?
Yeah, well, man, when we finally, I think it was Silent Slam probably was the band. We had been playing at Cooper's Alley and playing some other gigs. And Cantina with Santa Fe was just this little house, but it was man, all our heroes had played there and all kinds of cool folks. And it was just the hippest little spot, man. When we finally got a gig there on a Tuesday night for $200, man, we thought we had made it, man, And we had in a way, Yeah, JJ was around back then. This would be I'm going to age myself, but this was in the 80s, man. And the Berlin Wall had come down, boys, And I'm saying that because JJ had a piece of the Berlin Wall on his mantelpiece. That Robert DeGraff from Sound Vibrations had brought back to him, So
man. Nice.
But so and JJ had this house, big giant 2-story house that the bands would stay in, when they play at Cantina Santa Fe, and there's always some different girls staying there. I called it JJ Nilsson's House for Wayward Women is what I used to call that house. And so bands and wayward women, and I'll just let you go from there. It was a fun place to hang out.
Nice.
And so I met JJ back then. He would book Silent Slam, and then book any kind of band I was working with. He would give us a shot, and this is where my acoustic music folk songwriter thing kind of begins. Actually, is with JJ at Cantina Santa Fe, because here I am playing electric guitar with a horn section, and JJ says, man, I need a solo acoustic to open up for Shake Russell and Jack Saunders. And I was like, I can do that. I'd never played an acoustic gig in my life, dude. I had about 3 songs, so I wrote a couple more songs and did some obscure cover songs. And I'm sure I was horrible, man. But I got that gig, and I did it. And I got to open for Shake and Jack. And, of course, Jack has produced all my records now all these years later.
Jack's awesome.
Yeah, Cantina was just a cool place, man. This kid was just asking me today, actually, is it true that Stevie Ray Vaughan played at the Cantina Santa Fe? And I was filming this documentary for the House of Rock, and the kid that was there working is like, my brother tells me that. He thinks it's like a folklore or something. I was like, no, man, it's true. He had Stevie had played at the auditorium. It was called the Bayfront. Now it's the Selena Auditorium.
Yeah.
He played at the Bayfront, and someone was playing at Cantina, Alan Haynes or Chris Duarte, or one of these hotshot blues guys. And so Stevie Ray went over there and sat in. But it's funny all these years later that it's like it's a legend now.
Become this legend. Like, is
Yeah.
it true? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I didn't know he played there. That's amazing.
Yeah, Cantina was cool, man. A lot of folks played there. It wasn't very big, but it had the great vibe, man. It was a lot of stories I can't tell. Those walls could qualify for the witness protection program. Let me just
That's fair. That's fair.
I want to hear those later.
I got into Cantina Santa Fe at 14, right at the tail end before they shut it down. So I was able to see a couple shows there.
Nice, man.
I don't know what I was doing at 14, but I was at Dr. Rockets all the time. I was playing gigs and
Jeez, man.
and open mics everywhere, and somehow Cantina Santa Fe. And
Is that when you were doing Humble Time too? How old were you when you were coming to Humble Time?
14, 15, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That was pretty special times, huh?
Oh yeah. No, I mean
The Freiheit Country Store in Freiheit, Texas, had this thing called Humble Time Radio, where they would record a featured songwriter and then basically an open mic songwriter. They'd record everyone.
Does that sound
and then
familiar?
edit that down to an hour show.
Yeah.
And I think at its peak, it was going to 13 stations all around Texas.
That's
So
I
then
feel like I
someone who
listened to
would
that.
never get a chance to be recorded, definitely never get a chance to be on the radio, could get on Humble Time and get on 13 stations, you know.
The first time I got on the radio, when they finally all right, you're good enough, and they put me on the radio. My dad drove us up to my cousins and I up to I guess the area to find whatever station you can find to hear it on the radio. So that was the first time hearing myself on the radio, and then later that year they did the Humble Awards. Which the Humby Awards. There we go.
Nice.
It was like the Oscars, everyone dressed up in tuxedos and everything.
Man.
Yeah.
I got nominated for some award, I forget, but
I got a couple of Humvees. That was sweet. Like all good things, it doesn't last, man. But that was pretty neat. Mo Humble was the guy that Mo Humble, less humble. Get it to Joe?
Yeah. That was the first experience I had with any of that, and honestly, that's Corpus Christi Songwriters probably wouldn't exist if I didn't have that experience. At 14.
Beautiful, man.
Nice.
Yeah, that's an amazing little pocket there from Wimberley, San Marcos, Freiheit, all that. I mean, the people come to hear music steadily. New artists are supported, and there's things like that for them to do. I mean, it's not like things change and stuff, but that's always been a beautiful, magical place if you're a songwriter. It's supported there, it really is, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Now, man, with you guys down here and John Macy and Rockport, I mean, there's a lot of support down here too, man.
It's exciting having having stuff happen, like with John Macy, with the Rockport Songwriter Series and the festival, and then us over here. I'm hoping that the songwriters going to become more well represented over the next couple of years. And
there's a wealth of them in this state, man. That's for sure. And I love that there's so many different kinds too. From Jana Pocop to George Inslee to from Susan Gibson to Matt Hull. These are all different styles and different. It's not just one type of music necessarily, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Right. When you hear singer-songwriter, immediately goes to like folk or country. And we try, of course, that's a big chunk of it, but our festival at least tries to, run the gamut of, all the different genres that can fall into that.
For sure.
So did you have any more questions, Jules?
Man, I don't know why I'm struggling for questions here, but I mean, I got deep questions about writing, because like you said, you started playing around 85, and I mean, I think I'm older than both Garrett and Jimmy. I was born in 83, man. So you've been doing this.
Oh, you are just a little bit older than me. I thought you were younger, Jules.
No, man, I'm 40, dude, and so like,
dude, I'm close. I'll be 39 next week.
There you go. Well,
Thursday, I'll be 40.
Yeah, Jules, I've been doing this a long time,
it's a long time, and I had not realized quite.
I've been lucky, man. And to tell you the truth, guys, I don't really cold call or try to hustle a whole lot, man. I just have always kind of just showed up on time and been in tune and looked people in the eye and answer my phone. And one gig leads to the next gig, leads to the next gig, leads to a year, leads to 39 years later,
Man.
I've been really lucky, but I've also done everything from teaching to running sound to being a stagehand to, whatever. Just say yes, and keep going for it.
Yeah. I'd like
now I'm trying to figure out how to get out of it, guys. And painting myself into a corner, man.
I'd like a Michael O'Connor poetry book someday. Is that weird to say?
Hey,
is that
man,
crazy?
I appreciate you saying that. I've thought about that. I would like to. I have enough to start, for sure. And my friend Rod Picott, man, he's a prolific writer, and he's got some nice poetry books out. And I think it complements the, another thing to sell at the merch table that isn't a CD that no one needs,
that nobody wants anymore.
So thank you for saying that. Yeah, maybe maybe that can be my goal for 2024 is to by this time next year maybe have something like that. Yeah, that'd be nice.
That'd be awesome.
And some artwork and some poetry or something.
Oh yeah,
I know Crystal from Ordinary Elephant did one too, and yeah, it's a natural extension. I think I also like, Mike, that I think you're a fan of Rilke, and man, I love Rilke's poetry. And the more musicians I talk to, the more they seem to love Rilke's poetry. Like, I don't know if you know Stephen Prigmore, he's coming down for the festival, but he's a big Rilke fan. He has a song about Rilke too. He wrote a song based on one of his poems, and he's just I'm
when
obsessed.
I started playing with Ray Wylie Hubbard, I didn't know about Rilke, but when I was playing with Ray, it wasn't just that was an interesting moment. We call him the Wylie Llama. He kind of turned me on to Rilke, and he kind of turned me on to being bold and removing fear and doubt, and just all these kind of things I maybe needed to hear at that time in my life to step out and maybe try to do more of my own music and lean on my creativity more than just lean on my guitar chops, And so that he gave me that book, Letters to a Young Poet, man, and
amazing.
I read that over and over, and it was amazing, and it was just the words I needed to hear,
Yeah, I feel like every songwriter needs to read that.
I think everyone needs to read that.
Yeah,
right?
everyone.
And
you're right.
Some people might read it and go, okay, whatever, But I really like everything about it. But one of the things that was interesting to me is he talks about kind of like your mentor. You're looking to this mentor stuff for answers, and they can really provide none because they're going through their struggles as well. That. Mm-hmm. Everyone you look up to has their own struggles. They don't have it figured out either all the way. So I think, Rilke's good. And man, I'm a big fan of Bukowski. I have, so many books of his, cause it's just gritty with the light shining through the dirt, man. And that's, most of my music and songs are about underdogs. I tend to lean towards that with my movies that I like, with my books that I like. And when I kind of realized that's what I enjoyed was the underdog story, then a lot of my songs most 99.9% of my songs. Okay. All of my songs are about the underdog, I lean on that. So Bukowski's really great for those kind of images and stories, but I'm trying to read more things. I'm trying to read some different titles and different writers rather than just keep reading the same. Like you get with music, you got certain songs or certain music you listen to over and over, You got certain books you just read over and over, or certain movies you just watch. I mean, I do anyway.
I'm the same way for sure.
Yeah.
That's actually one of my things for 2024 resolutions is to read more.
Branch out.
Exactly.
Yeah. I've got a Cormac McCarthy right here I'm going to dig into.
Which one you got, Mike?
It's Blood Meridian.
Oh, brutal.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'm excited. There's no easy answers to any of this, guys. It's just keep doing it, man. And, I'm excited for what you guys are doing. I'm honored to be a part of it. Man, I wasn't lying when I was talking to Casey the other day about that night. Last year was beautiful with Walt Wilkins and Betty Sue. That was so cool.
That was awesome.
And, but I'll always remember Jamie and Jana and me and Jeff and Chris and Adam all playing that Bernadine up there at that last. That was a beautiful full house, man.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It was. That was my last gig I did before the pandemic, man. So
before COVID, a lot of us, I
did not know that moment was going to be my last moment for 2-something years.
Yeah. No,
so I'd look back on that in those isolation months and was so thankful that it was that and not some bowling alley with my name spelled wrong.
Yeah.
That's a nice memory to have to kind of munch on for. Yep.
But that night that you brought up is by far one of my favorite nights of music, moments of music of all time, and
it was awesome.
Well, you made it happen, man. And there's beautiful people there, and a beautiful venue, and
it was packed.
It's amazing. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this year, man.
I know.
I'm counting down the days.
39, 38, 39.
Oh God, did you count?
Man.
Oh
Well,
God.
no, I saw it on an agenda in a meeting earlier. But yeah, no, it's they're counting down for sure.
It's coming quick.
So just less and less sleep until we get there. I'll sleep after the festival. But
you're in a state by the end of it. I've seen you, man. Yeah, that's an endurance test, man. Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just a walking zombie by Saturday night.
If there's anything I can do to help you, not before noon and not after. I'm just kidding. Let me know, man.
Between 6 and 7 p.m.
Right in there somewhere.
I'll be all right.
That's awesome, man.
My favorite quote from the festival was Mike's last year, where he said, "No, man, no tequila for me. It makes me break out in handcuffs."
Yeah,
it's what I use that joke all the time.
Can we put that on the website?
Tequila, man. We used to just play that song "Tequila" when we had Silent Slim in Port Aransas. If you just played it once a set, then a whole tray of tequila shots would come up.
Of course. That sounds like Port A.
Yeah.
So Mike, how do you I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Jimmy.
It's fine, I don't care.
Hey, Mike, how do you handle songs that I guess we all kind of like develop our way to like test songs and then determine that songs are gonna stick, and that we're gonna play, they'll be in the repertoire, right? Like how do you, because if you're like me, you're always attempting to write, and then I don't know, as of recently, I got a batch of songs that I'm just not playing for anybody, but I think they're good songs. But anyway, I think that you have a whole career of writing probably really good songs, man, and then being like, hey, you know what? Out of all these songs, this one's the best. Or maybe, how do you manage? Like,
man, sometimes when I'm writing them, I'm like, they're kind of already deciding, like, okay, I'm picturing myself at the Devil's Backbone playing this song, or I'm picturing myself at the Songwriter Festival. Is this a song that I would play? Does this feel that way? So sometimes it's even before you're putting them out in front of anyone. You kind of imagine, can I see myself with this? This be good? Yeah, okay, Yeah. Because you got to picture. I don't know about y'all, but I write them to perform them.
Sure.
So it's like I think about where would I play this song and what would it be like. Yep. And so I'm even thinking about that. I don't know, man. You just kind of know, because I think you just kind of feel it after a while. Even when you're starting out, I'm kind of was doing some songs. I was, but I didn't have enough songs to do a whole set. So they weren't horrible songs. My songs got better.
Yeah.
But I think if they're, I have a lot of really sad, slow songs is my deal. So, so sometimes those don't get done as much because I've got to have some movement in the set, I wish I could just be, have the listeners and come out and do all my Tom Waits-ish low down dirgy ballads,
Yes.
But there are moments you can slide those in, I just do them. I can't wait to do them, like I'll do a song. If I wrote it that day, man, I'll make some little notes and put it on my guitar and like the first word of each verse or something and try to do it that night. I can't wait. My favorite song is always the one that I just finished, Oh
yeah.
Yeah.
But some of them feel like that, I guess really it just comes down to the audience lets or people start requesting that, they can tell. You can feel that when you do a song that people know and like, you can kind of feel that from them. Or if you just feel like, oh, I'm drudging through this thing, I feel like I'm dragging this song up the hill, man, then I might not do that one again for a while,
Right. So are you approaching each set with like kind of a somewhat of a set list in your mind, like maybe the same 3 songs and branch out from there, or like, and you're leading
there's
the crowd?
Definitely those ones that you like to start with,
Yeah.
Because you just feel like, oh man, I can do this in my sleep. It's a solid song. It connects, and I can get my feet under me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So me and Plank usually start here for the last year or so. We've started with this song called Ramona because it's got finger picking. We both sing on it. We can kind of fall into it. I have a few of mine that way. Although I started with a different song the other night at House of Rock. I started with this one called Run Wild because it had such a Corpus when I play in Corpus, the set list leans towards my songs that mention Crosstown Expressway or Bottoms Up, or I tend to do those songs that have those Corpus references, So
and you can tell by the crowd.
That'll affect the set. Or if it's a certain time of year, then I might be doing my New Year's Eve songs or my Christmas tune or whatever. Usually, every few months or so, those first few songs will switch out to something else, that I start with. But kind of a set list so I can, like Plankenhorn says, so you have something to deviate from.
Right.
Yep.
And I had a bunch of songs on my set the other night. It's a nice problem to have that I don't, with 90-minute sets, I can't get to everything that I really want to do. I run out of time.
That's a good problem.
Yeah, it used to be just the opposite. It'd be like, oh man, I got to stretch this out. What am I going to do? So.
Mm-hmm.
I think, Mike, you one time, you told me, or I don't know, it was maybe one of the festivals, like every song you write about is basically about Corpus, that you kind of like, that's the place that you kind of like go to, I guess, when you write. And
a lot of it, yeah, for sure, man. A lot of them, especially awesome. The older ones, all really lean heavily. More of a backdrop kind of thing,
Yeah.
The setting, if you will.
Yeah, for sure.
Like
I mean, how could it not? I grew up here and there's a lot of stories here, and I had a lot of wild ass times here, man. This is a wild town, dude. That's the whole thing about sleepy little town, is it kind of is a sleepy town sometimes. If I went out driving right now, I bet that there's some empty kind of streets out here. But y'all live here. There's an underground tension, and I don't want to use the wrong words because I love this town, but it's gritty, man. There's some grit. There's some grit on these streets, man.
Yep.
I want to tease that out a little bit more, man. Just as the stuff that I write is like it's dramatic, sort of electric guitar Americana stuff, man. And but I sense that same sort of underground tension as you mentioned. Like there is a sort of grit and a heat, and it's almost like the same thing that makes the metal really good here is the same thing you can tease out in terms of tension, and you can kind of sense that other people pick up on. Like I think about something like No Country for Old Men, and like the way that it has this, like it never lets the audience or the person watching the film not be anxious, even though it is. Even though it's framework that includes like lots of spacious areas and not a whole lot of music, there's still that underground tension sort of
like
thing.
No music.
So I mean, I know when I write, it's like I've always like set myself in Texas. I don't know that it's necessarily Corpus Christi, but
I think of West Texas a lot, Jules. I feel like I'm always, that's the psychic landscape and some of it's because of, speaking of Cormac McCarthy, coming back to Cormac McCarthy, some of it's because of Cormac McCarthy. I'd never seen anybody. So, for instance, Blood Meridian, which a lot of it is kind of set in the Big Bend area, never seen anybody describe West Texas that way, and it blew my mind that you could talk about these big, spacious, kind of gorgeous, scary areas, and it's kind of it's kind of where Towns is coming from too. Like kind of the same kind of primal thing that Cormac McCarthy gets to from. You'll see it, Mike, when you read that Blood Meridian. It's like almost 3/4 just descriptions of West Texas, and I love it. Nice. Like it's just, dude, it's just so the way he describes just the environment and the mixture of words that he uses, and the almost kind of like classical. It's just kind of a crazy mix that kind of sets your brain on fire. It made me think that West Texas and Texas could be poetic about it. Not that you couldn't before, but
Right.
Yeah. Well, this is a beautiful city too, man. I mean, there's a lot of history here. There's a lot of there's people with and people without in this town. Nature is amazing. It's just there's a lot of stuff to draw from down in South Texas, I think, and it's just so much a part of me that when it comes to making songs, I guess when I realized that you could go make up a bunch of stuff, which is fine, and I still make up stuff, but man, how much easier is it just to draw on your own memories and your stuff from your childhood, and it's all there to be used like play to turn into a story or an image, and I think playing a lot of these, man, I played a lot of rough joints. We played all the all the little towns, the Inglesides and the Aransas Passes, and people got stabbed, man.
Yep.
You know, I got stabbed in the neck one time.
Gosh.
Another time they had cut all our tires because they didn't like us.
Man.
One time we were playing this place in Aransas Pass, and we went outside to smoke a joint, and we opened up the door to the bar, and there's a chopper, man, parked inches. So when you open the door, you know that the door just barely misses the motorcycle.
Oh, no.
And the guy parked it that way intentionally, of course, you know. So we're out there smoking, and then, of course, here he comes, man. You know, we're teenagers, dude. Our early 20s. Yeah. We're musicians. We're not tough guys at all, you know. Yeah. Which one of you guys touched my bike, you know?
No.
Oh, we didn't touch your bike. You calling my sister a liar? You know?
Oh, no.
Yeah. It's those kind of joints, you know. But I was excited because I was 19 years old and I was an adventurer, and I'd always heard everyone started at the bottom rung. All my heroes told these same kind of stories. So I thought, okay, I must be in the right spot, you know, nowhere to go but up from here. Man. And you can use those stories and those ideas and those feelings and those faces and those characters and those attitudes when you're writing songs, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. So Jules or Garrett, do you have anything else?
No, I'm just, man, once you finish Blood Meridian, we'll talk, Mike.
Yeah.
Right on. I'll be calling you, bro.
We'll discuss, man. Hey, man, I've got a degree in composition and rhetoric. That was my thing. And so I love literature. I love writing. And not that it's done anything for me, but
sure it has, man. It's enriched your life, right?
Yeah, I just love words. So and any way I can deliver them or read them or take them in. Love words. So yeah, I'm not sure if you've listened to the podcast all the way through yet or not, but we always end each episode with the same question, and wanted to ask it for you. It's our Almost Famous question from the movie Almost Famous. And the movie ends with this question, and it's, what do you love about music?
Music saved my life, man. There was drug dealing and criminal activities and dumb stuff right out of high school, and addiction issues and things. That was the paths I was heading down. And as soon as I started getting the few little gigs, I had to get my shit together to perform. And not that I didn't have rocky times all through that, but music saved my life, man. So even when I was a little kid, so music saves people, man. That's what it's about for me, man.
Perfect. Yeah.
Best.
So what's next for you?
Man, I've got this little jazz gig I've been playing up in Austin at the 7 Grand with this friend of mine, Doug Anthony, who's also from Corpus. And me and Doug have been playing guitars together since we were 14 years old. Ooh. And so I brushed up on my Chester Root tunes, and
nice.
I play this little gig with a little jazz combo, and I'm doing that on Thursday night. And then Sunday I'll be at the Redbird Listening Room up in there in New Braunfels, which is a great venue.
Yes, it's a cool place. Yeah.
And Mike, what do you know? Another thing I've been doing is every Tuesday, I'm staying up in the San Marcos, Austin area. Is for $10 you can hear James McMurtry every Tuesday night with his band. So that's like my church, man. So that's definitely what I'll be doing tomorrow night. Is listening to McMurtry at the Continental Club.
Awesome.
Talk about a songwriter.
Yeah,
let's get him to the festival next year, man.
Dude, I've met him once. I met him one time. I have a funny James McMurtry story. He has a song called Gulf Road, which is an incredible tune that a band called Milk Drive covered, and my buddy David King and I were up in Austin for a gig at this place called the Whip-In. Really cool place.
I played the Whip-In,
yeah. And so we were about to play our cover of Gulf Road. And James McMurtry walks in.
out there. Yeah, I've seen him in there. Yeah,
so I was like, so David looked at me and was like, don't do it, because we've heard he's notoriously cranky. And so like afterwards, I wanted to talk to him because, I love him. He's a great songwriter. And so we went and introduced ourselves. And I was like, yeah, James, we play one of your songs, it's Gulf Road. And he was like, but I told him we didn't really want to, we didn't want to embarrass anybody or, make a mistake or sound bad or whatever. And he was like, oh, you should have played it. You sounded great. It was like super nice to me.
Nice. That's a nice James story, man.
Yeah, man. I was like,
he's softening up in his old age, I think, man. But I can't say enough about his songwriting. I think he's one of the best in the world right now, man.
He's so good.
He's officially on the list. Need to get him down here.
Yeah, right on.
He's not far away.
Yeah. And we'll see you in 30 something days, 30, I guess when this airs, 36 days or so. Yeah.
Quit counting.
Okay, I'll stop counting.
Looking forward to it, guys. I can't wait, man. We're going to have so much fun, man.
I know.
Heck yeah.
Hey, thanks for having me on your podcast. This has been a lot of just hanging out with you guys has been nice, man.
Yeah, love these conversations, and this was just, it was eye-opening to really get to sit down and have this convo with you. So
yeah, man.
Thanks.
Cool, guys.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Thanks. Peace,
Yeah,
guys.
man.
See you soon.
All right.
See you soon.